So unless you live under a rock, I'm sure you've seen that Marvel held a 5-hour live stream announcing the cast of the upcoming Avengers Doomsday film. Now, was this live stream self-indulgent? Yes. Do they deserve to act like this after years of inconsistency? Absolutely not. But did it get me excited? Hell yeah. And now, this cast announcement decision tells us a lot about the mindset that Marvel have going into this next 12 months of making movies. From the cast itself to the way that they were going about the marketing, it all just screams one thing, and that is desperation. Now, not desperation in a bad way, but more so the desperation that we wish Marvel had these last few years. Because even the most die-hard Marvel stan would still be able to admit that they haven't really been consistent for at least 3 years now. Because yes, they had some major hits, but they also had some major flops. And it seemed that throughout that time, they never really felt desperate to win back the support of the fans. They kind of felt a little bit out of touch with what their fan base was feeling at the time, and they perhaps underestimated how much fans were maybe growing tired with the franchise. However, now they are putting in so much effort to please the fans, and they are making it a massive spectacle and playing with our emotions and just really going above and beyond to infiltrate pop culture the way that they did some 5 years ago. And to me, it just says that Marvel understand that this is their last chance at regaining the glory that they once had, and they are absolutely going for it. And I've got to say, it does make me happy to see it, because whether or not you're happy with the cast, the one thing you cannot deny is that Marvel are really trying again, and the MCU feels big, and it doesn't feel like a parody of itself like it did before. It feels fresh, exciting, and most importantly, it feels like it's regaining its strength. Now, will it get back to the way things were 5 years ago? I'm not quite sure yet. However, things are definitely looking brighter, and we should be optimistic about that. But now let's get into the analysis of the cast that they've announced. I won't go over the entire cast because there are just so many damn names, and I'm sure you've probably all seen it already. However, I will go over the names that surprised me, and also go over the surprising names that have been left out. Now, the first big surprise mentioned for me was Channing Tatum as Gambit, which is most definitely a pleasant surprise after giving such a great performance in Deadpool and Wolverine. And I know there was a massive push for Gambit to get his own film, however I do think that it's right that he maybe doesn't get his own film, but he does get to continue playing a role within the MCU. That most definitely gets me excited, and I'm sure it gets many other fans excited too. And we've also got Tenoch Huerta, who's returning as Gamora. Now, I wasn't the biggest fan of his character in Black Panther 2, as I felt he was a little undercooked and a little lackluster. However, I always felt that he had potential, and that his potential was just wasted somewhat in that movie. However, I am optimistic that you can get that character right, and he could be a very good force within the MCU moving forward, and I can certainly see ways of him working within Avengers Doomsday. And of course, we've also got the surprises of Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart returning, which if you followed the rumors isn't really a massive surprise, but I'm still very happy with it, because simply they're just both fantastic actors and are so iconic as Professor X and Magneto, and of course they're going to deliver in their performances, because when on earth do they not? However, now let's get into the surprising names that weren't included, with the first one that comes to mind being Tom Holland as Spider-Man, because it does seem weird for his name not to be front and center the way the names like Thor or Doctor Doom are for this film, because it was just 6 years ago that he was basically said to be the future of the Avengers and the new face of the MCU. And then we got No Way Home 2 years after Endgame, and then nothing now for 4 years, and it will probably be about 5 years by the time that his next Spider-Man movie comes out. And so hopefully he isn't actually excluded from this movie and he is just going to be announced later. However, for the time being, it is definitely a surprise, and it does anger me somewhat that he's not going to be in this film for now. And then we've also got another surprise being Hulk not being announced, because ever since I was a kid, Hulk has been my favorite superhero. So any Marvel movie without Hulk is a disappointment for me, especially when it comes to the Avengers, because it really just doesn't seem right to do a collective MCU movie without a Hulk character. However, perhaps he will also be announced later down the line, so we do just have to wait and see. But for me, not announcing both Hulk and Spider-Man for this film is somewhat lackluster and is a little bit of a disappointment. And if I was to give any negatives in regards to this casting, those names not being included would definitely be front and center. However, aside from the names included and the names excluded, what does this cast list actually tell us? For me, it's that the movie is going to be big in scale. Much like how each Avengers movie got bigger, this seems to be following in that direction, and it might just be the biggest Avengers movie yet. Not necessarily in terms of hype, because I don't think anything will ever beat Avengers Endgame in that department, however, more so in terms of the scale of the story. Because I think it says to me that Marvel are willing to do whatever it takes to win back the fanbase, which means heaps of fan service, along with a serious multiversal level threat that genuinely builds tension within the story. Unlike some other MCU films recently, where we never really felt like the main heroes were in any danger because it just felt somewhat predictable, formulaic, and very lackluster. However, with this film, I get the feeling it will be a return to the days where we genuinely felt stressed watching an Avengers film, because we honestly had no idea what would happen, what characters may potentially die, what characters may potentially survive, or what twists and turns lay around each corner. And there are people out there who say that you can't build the same tension within the multiverse. However, I would say that No Way Home did it extremely well, and I do think that can be replicated. Now, do I want the multiverse to continue moving forward for a long time? Probably not, and I do want to see Avengers Secret Wars, which is coming after Doomsday, to be used as somewhat of a hard reset for the MCU, and to be used as a sort of soft reboot for the franchise. However, up until that point, I do think you can use the multiverse to your advantage, as long as you know that it's coming to a close somewhere down the line, and that Marvel have a clear endpoint that they're working towards. Because if there is one thing that you can fault Marvel on post-Endgame, is that it doesn't seem like they have the same streamlined end goal that they did just 10 years ago, because they understood that the end goal was going to be Avengers Endgame, and then after that movie, it seems like they didn't really have any clear direction. But now it does seem like they're working towards something again, and I can see that helping the MCU moving forward. However, to end the video, I do think it's important to also preface that this is just marketing, and that we shouldn't count our chickens before they've hatched, because this doesn't tell us if the film is going to be good or not, but it does tell us that Marvel understand that this is their last chance to regain their former glory, and well, they are most definitely going for it, and for that, I really do commend them. But let me know your thoughts on this cast announcement. Let me know your thoughts on if you think Tom Holland's Spider-Man will end up in the film or not. Let me know down below in the comments, and if you liked the video, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and until next time, take care.